So far, we've talked about the fact that pushing calorie balance of moving more, eating less can completely backfire when the body doesn't have enough and starts to shut down, which then begs the question, how do you fix that? And the answer is get enough of a calorie flow into your body so it doesn't shut down. And then think about not just the calories, but what is it that you're eating? So getting in some water, protein, and a slow digesting, unprocessed carbohydrate to stabilize your blood chemistry so the brain doesn't trigger muscle breakdown. And then going a step beyond that, nourishing your body by getting quality vegetables and quality fats into your day. Now we want to look at how to chart out simple adjustments for what we're eating. So a simple way, kind of a paint by numbers approach to start you out in thinking about healthy eating is just an equal amount of calories from each food group. Vegetables technically are carbohydrates, but what we think of as vegetables in restaurants and in our kitchen and in the market are generally the more bitter ones that are lower in calories and higher in nutrients, as opposed to tubers and starches, fruits, legumes that have more fuel in them. And then there's foods that are higher in proteins and, of course, foods that are higher in fats like avocado, nuts, and seeds. So the calorie per gram in these are very different. If you were doing an equal calorie count of each of them, the volume on your plate would look more like this. Protein and carbohydrate fuel sources would be about the same volume, like a half palm volume or half a cup volume or more, depending on how much you need to eat. The fats have more than twice the calories per gram, and so you wouldn't need as much volume. And then vegetables are very low density, and so in calories. And so an equal calorie count of that group, you'd almost have to have a whole separate plate, like a salad plate, perhaps, or half of steamed vegetables or roasted vegetables, et cetera, making up as much or as half of the plate of the rest of your food. Now, if you're athletic, then you're going to need more protein to heal, and you'll need more carbohydrate to recover the fuel losses of carbohydrate into your muscle fibers. If you're wanting to be healthy, then the flow or the rate of delivery of the low processed healthy protein and carbohydrate fuel sources will give you a stable blood protein and blood sugar through the day, which will then facilitate healing, function, and vitality of your cells as many of your 24 hours a day as possible. So it's not that you have to eat a lot to keep your cells happy, but rather give them a trickle flow of what they need for as many hours of your day as possible, even if that's in caloric restriction. And then focus on the quality of the vegetables and unsaturated fats. Now, if you're wanting to drop your carbohydrate level, that's fine, but do include some. So avoid the no carb approach unless you're going the ketosis path, which can be very challenging to maintain. And if you're athletic, you would still need more protein and the refuel from your workout to avoid a chronically low blood sugar, and that's even under conditions of ketosis. So kind of a big picture approach, using volumes from your hands. A thumb is a tablespoon volume. You need thumb volumes of fats. A palm is 1 cup volume, so you'd need around a half cup, half palm volume of protein and carbohydrates that are minimally processed, and a fist volume of vegetables or a double fist volume of leafy greens since they're less dense. So fats, protein, carb, vegetables. And the vegetables will mix with carbohydrates that are more processed or digest faster, like white rice, white bread, or any bread or pasta. I mean, whole grain bread and whole grain pasta only digest 10 to 15% slower than the white version. So it doesn't really help you much in terms of achieving metabolic goals. But the vegetables you eat with it will mix with it in the stomach and trap it in the stomach so that it empties slower. So slows digestion much more than the fiber content of whole grain pasta or bread. So now to look at how this might translate to charting out your eating, let's say you're going to have a breakfast, lunch, and dinner And we're going to take a look at the protein, carb, fuel, vegetables to slow down the digestion rate if it's needed, and healthy fats. And the protein and carb fuel are the two that are needed together with regular hydration through the day to avoid going too low in blood protein levels or too low in blood sugar levels, where the brain will trigger cortisol release to break down lean tissue mass, to provide amino acids for your more vital organs, and to convert into glucose for the brain. So protecting lean tissue starts with macronutrients. Let's say breakfast has, as its protein, some yogurt, and yogurt already has some dairy sugar in there, although you can add some berries and a sprinkle of granola if you want. And at lunch, maybe there's some tofu that you're going to put onto your salad, and maybe some corn kernels or cherry tomatoes. That goes, let's say we put that on a salad, and there's some extra virgin olive oil. That's our healthy fats. For breakfast, we don't necessarily need those. And then for dinner, maybe we have a chicken breast, and as our fuel source, some beans like black beans, and then with that, let's say some salsa, and maybe some veggies that we've steamed or sauteed or roasted, and maybe some avocado with that as our healthy fat. So notice that we've got a flow of protein through the day that we're considering separately from everything else, a flow of stable carbohydrate for a stable blood sugar, and then we're dosing in some vegetables and some healthy fats at least once, if not twice. If at some point in here, we're going to have a faster digesting carbohydrate, so let's say we have a sandwich, so there's a couple slices of bread, then we would want to make sure that there's vegetables there that are crunchy enough to chew so that they're harder for the stomach to break down. That will mix with those carbohydrates to slow down the digestion rate. So the goal here is nutrient flow to maintain our metabolism, which I then refer to as metabolic flow, bringing in the things to our cells that they need to maximize their vitality.